Bill Henshaw here again for the Constitutional Crisis channel. And with so much events swirling around the recent non-election, I've been asked by a friend to let you know what the difference is between a democracy and a republic. While I don't go particularly by the dictionary definitions thereof, the definition of republic, and by the way, remember in the Pledge of Allegiance, it says to the republic for which it stands, not the democracy. A republic is a system in which the members of the sovereign body politic have creator-endowed inalienable rights that can't be bargained away by Congress or by the state legislatures. They're bound by them. There are ways to change things, but that's not the way it happens, because we are the beneficiaries of the trust, and the people in Congress and the state legislatures are trustees. We tell them what to do, not the reverse. That's a Republican government of defined and limited powers, exactly what the framers of the Constitution understood and what their original intent set up. And that's where I want to get back to. It goes as far as that direction as we can possibly go. Simplified version of a democracy, the best definition I've ever heard is my first law teacher described it as 3 wolves and 2 sheep voting on what's for dinner. As bad as that is, think about what happens on day 3 in such a scenario. Now you have no more dinner. Now what happens? I mean, this is about how this works. It's literally dog eat dog. I mean, that's a democracy. No rights, no nothing. You vote for people, for all these offices in Congress and this, that, and the other, in elections that don't constitutionally exist. And these people somehow have the power to do away with you. And I'm speaking almost literally here because the Supreme Court has held in a case we'll look at much more later called Enochs v. Williams, 370 U.S. 1. And they held in this case, I swear to God, they said in effect that a taxpayer can be taxed out of existence by the government without even so much as an administrative hearing, let alone a judicial trial that you might think you were entitled to under Article 1, Section 9 or 10 of the Constitution of the United States. This is what happens in a quote-unquote democracy. You somehow magically become a taxpayer. We'll be talking a lot more about that one later too. And a taxpayer has no rights. I mean, you go into a tax court, and that's why the IRS gets apoplectic when people go in there and say, wait a minute, I'm not a person within the meaning of the code, which is 26 U.S.C. 7114, I believe, and I'm not a taxpayer within the meaning of 26 U.S.C. 6109, and they get crazy and say, we're going to have you charged with contempt of court, and we're going to fine you for making frivolous arguments, and they're right. They are right. What they're conveniently omitting to tell you is you're not in a judicial court where those arguments would be affirmative defenses. The federal district courts, at least, are all considered, they're not considered Article 3 judicial courts, and we'll talk more about that later. You're in a legislative tribunal where Congress can convict you of any damn thing they want to. Now, the IRS doesn't tell you that, and if you're not in a judicial court, then the whole Infernal Revenue Code is the damn bill of attainder. I have yet to see that argument made in a tax case, but I hope to before I pass on to the next beyond here and get you people out there and do it and join me in doing the same thing, because that's what puts them out of business. Right issues, right court, right status. If we go 3 for 3, I don't think they're going to have anywhere left to go unless they want to admit that we have no constitution, and the powers that be on Wall Street, that's damn well what they think. There isn't one. And we'll be talking about that more in a future video too. Thank you.